Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Super Mario Bros. Wonder. We're still finishing up the magma bog, so off we go into another hut to get a Wonder Seed that we don't need anymore.
Oh yeah, at this point you're just going for 100% completion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the magma world was the final one before you go inside Bowser, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can technically do worlds 4, 5, and 6 in any order you want. I don't know why you would, but you can.
This is a random ass thought that I just had now, but I want someone to mod all the talking flowers so that they look like Flowey from Undertale.
You can do it. Mario Wonder, you can do a lot of modding for it. People have made custom stages, custom talking flower things, custom Wonder events, custom bosses. You can do pretty much anything with this game. So, you can even port in models from other games and they'll work. So, like, I think somebody modded in the Builder Mario costume from Super Mario Maker in the 3D Land style, and it. Oh wait, no, sorry, that was for Mario vs. Donkey Kong, which runs on the same engine as this game, which is surprising to me that they do, but because they look so different. But
Super Mario Wonder, but Google translated, is one of the first mods that popped up on my feed.
That makes sense. But when they say Google translated, how many times are we talking? Are we talking like the simple switch to French and back, or like?
So as an example, the dolphin badge is retranslated as "My father is a fisherman."
Okay, that's a good 4 or 5
And the description
times.
is, first of all, there are many types of mushrooms. That's it. It doesn't even have a period at the end of it.
What in Ronald Rayquel is that supposed to mean?
Look at Ryan not even using the platforming challenge as intended. Cheating.
Oh, there's a mod where you can give every character their unique character physics again.
A unique what?
Character physics.
Oh, okay. So Luigi has the.
Luigi probably has the flutter jump, or the high jump anyway.
Peach
You
can
could probably
float.
float with Princess Peach.
And the frickin'
And then
butter
Toad and
butter
Toadette
shoes.
probably do the
But,
small
yeah,
jump
butter
and
shoes too.
faster run. Toad was always the most fun to play. I'm gonna just throw that out there.
Was it because he was the most no nonsense? He can run fast and pick up shit fast.
Yeah, exactly. It's honestly, it feels like playing Mario 2 USA in Jelly when you're playing as any other character. Peach is broken, don't get me wrong. The floatability is insane. But when it takes a half an hour to lift up a turnip, you're like, oh god.
Movement
Someone,
speed
please.
in both Mario 2 USA and in vanilla Wii U 3D World was kind of slow in general.
I know that that's something they upped.
Yeah, in the Switch version
remake.
they cranked it up. So Rosalina is no longer slower than time.
But here's a fun little thing, though, I guess, in the case in regards to that. And let's break it up into 2D and 3D, because they both have their own different styles. What 2D game do you think had the best sort of character speed? And what 3D game do you think had the best, movement and just character speed?
That's an interesting question.
Well, I mean, what we're looking at right now is pretty good for 2D, but the 2D games, apart from 2 USA, which was a different game entirely, they don't really vary all that much in terms of speed and handling. That's one of the cool things about 2D Mario, is how well it handled from the very first game, and how little they changed it over time. Because
there's the changes between World 3 and 1 are very slight.
I would disagree with that. I think the difference between World and something like 1 is night and day.
Well, I'm more meaning
Mario-
when you're talking sequentially. 3 does control better than 1, don't get me wrong. But the difference between 3 and World's not really that big. And
Oh no, I disagree with that too. Mario's very floaty in 3.
He's also fairly floaty in World too.
No, he's not actually. He has a little more gravity to his movements, which gives him that precision that makes all of those fucking mods even possible in the first place.
I mean, maybe this is just coming as somebody who's much more casual with this, but I find playing on a traditional standard playthrough level that World and 3 feel pretty similar to play.
You see, this is the kind of thing that's you have to be really really familiar with the way the character feels to even notice the differences there. It's like if you were to tell a complete Smash Brothers casual all the reasons why Smash Melee controls better than all the others. It's just like, I didn't notice. That's what they're gonna say.
Can you get out of my house now?
Yeah, it's the same reason why most people are better off buying a $10 steak at some cheap place than a $50 steak at a bistro steakhouse. Because it's like, unless if you've got that extremely refined palate, it doesn't matter to you at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in terms of 2D games, I think that Wonder controls very, very close to the new Super Mario Brothers games. The new Super Mario Brothers games problems were never controlled. They all play very well.
Yeah, they all control just fine.
But I really like the way Wonder feels. 3D is a different question because I feel like there's definitely much more variation in how the games play. Like, Galaxy doesn't really play like Sunshine or Odyssey or 64, or 3D Land or World, so because they're all so different.
They all tend to have different combinations of, oh, this game had this move, but the next game didn't include that, but it included this other thing that's really cool. And then the game after that didn't have that, but it brought back this other thing that we didn't expect to see again. And it's just like, it's all kind of
In terms of platforming flow, Odyssey probably has the most stuff you can do and probably feels the best, I would say. But it's also I also really like how floaty Mario is in Mario Galaxy, specifically because of the cool gravity shenanigans you can do.
Get a hold of the funky ass wall running and wall jumping shit you can do in Sunshine.
Yeah.
I was going to say, until Odyssey came out, I would have argued Sunshine, I think, was the best 3D controlling Mario.
Sunshine always felt stiff to me. I would
say 64 feels stiff.
Well, 64 feels stiffer. I'm not arguing there, but
who has the raging heart on? Who's more stiff?
Luigi, have you seen that Aces key art?
That's why he's not there, because he's always popping a constant boner.
Yeah, it added too many polygons to his model. The N64 couldn't handle it.
Holy shit, he's packing.
Yeah, because Mario Sunshine, I always thought trying to do, and again, this is me not being an expert at the game. I always thought doing precise wall jumps always felt really weird in Mario Sunshine. I
would argue it wasn't improved that much from 64.
No, 64's wall jump I think sucks. At the very least,
I don't even think they were called wall jumps. I think they were just called kick climbs. No, I'm thinking of
wall kicks. Will work.
I'm talking about wall kicks. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, because that's the
wall
name
kicks will work. I want that Google translated. I wonder what that shows up as.
Well, I'm sure there's Mario 64 but Google translated. If there's Mario Wonder but Google translated.
Why are we doing platforming while invisible?
It's the challenge level for the invisibility. Badge.
I know.
Don't worry, Lewis. It gets worse. Just wait till the special world.
If you want to make this a little easier, you can use the emote action to get a general idea of where your character is, because the emote will pop over your head.
I think it's L does the emote.
X. It's X.
Okay.
On the controller.
Okay.
I never actually thought of that. I always tried to look for the swooshy lines, or just get
Where's
good.
your sense of adventure?
This is just such a weird power to have. That's all.
Oh, weird. I would say it's dog shit.
It's meant to make. It's meant to make the game harder. So mission accomplished. I guess you can also make the game harder by smashing yourself in a hammer repeatedly while playing. Doesn't mean it's more fun to do it that way.
Usually, an invisibility power would be a power that helps you in some way.
Well, enemies will not notice you, so they won't run towards you, but. Honestly, sometimes in Mario, you want the enemies to run closer to you so you can use them as step stools to whatever you're going to. So.
Or at least get them to stop for that moment where they notice you so that you can jump on them.
Yeah. The invisibility badge, though, is nothing compared to the stupid spring badge that Ryan's about to do here, which I think is absolute dog shit. And
We already went over this the last time the Spring Feet challenge popped up, but like
That was so long ago, though. Let's do it again.
it's Spring Feet. It just bounces you. It's not as unmanageable as the Spring power up in Galaxy was, by design. I should mention, because you were physically stuck in a spring. It was meant to be a bit weird.
I think I mentioned this last time we talked about it too, but the spring power-up never required you to do anything as precise as this game wants you to do with this power.
You also couldn't get nearly as much speed.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about the Spring Feet versus the Spring power-up in Galaxy, is that you're just vertically bouncing the entire time. And the result of that is that, like, you're not flipping over, and that's not affecting your momentum. So you could, in theory, just bounce wherever you wanted to. The only, like, real danger is if you were in a narrow space and the ceiling was a hazard.
Or if there's very small, thin platforms like here.
Well, yeah, but these are positioned specifically to give you a headache when you're playing with the Spring badge, so... I'm not going to count the challenge stage when assessing the badge's viability in normal stages, because the challenge stages are deliberately designed to push the badge into, sarcastic air quotes, interesting places. So it's like, you know, the frickin' invisibility badge doesn't have as much to work with outside of its own challenge stage, because they're not filling the levels with big visible clouds that you're supposed to, like, pass through to keep track of where you are or anything. You're just invisible, and nothing in the level is designed to account for that. So in that case, the challenge badge levels for the invisibility power kind of misrepresents what playing with that power would be like. And it's a little bit the same with the Spring badge, because the platforming in the regular levels isn't specifically arranged in this kind of way.
I mean, I think you do get a tiny bit more height with the Spring badge, but I think the height is not anywhere different from, like, the Luigi Jump badge, which is one of the more broken ones anyway. So it's like, this is just a strictly worse version of a badge you already have. Unless if you like making yourself miserable. And in that case, play a worse game if you want to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also an interesting way to play the game if you're into, like, challenge runs. Hey, here's a spring badge playthrough of every level.
I think that's certainly more interesting than some of the stuff that you will see on YouTube, like, oh man, I beat Sonic the Hedgehog without touching a ring, beating an enemy, hitting the ground, jumping, or breathing. And it's like, okay. Like, I mean, I get wanting to test the limits, but some of this stuff's pretty arbitrary.
Oh, like, the point of those videos, though, I would argue, is not the feat, but the journey to accomplish the feat.
I mean, yeah, but then everyone will be like, oh man, you should try out this challenge. And I'm like, no, I actually don't.
That's more content. Thank you for the recommendation.
Look, I'm not getting paid to do that challenge the way that YouTuber was, okay?
But if you were...
I mean, if I was... It beats working for Amazon.
I've only done one challenge like that. I've done a Paper Mario with no action commands challenge. I streamed it years ago. And
isn't that basically just playing Final Fantasy with nothing but the attack command?
Yeah.
Can you beat Amazon without any bathroom breaks?
Oh, dude, don't even get me started.
Challenge level impossible. There's no toilets in the facility.
Okay, look. Recently, the bathroom at the facility I deliver from went out of order, and I didn't know that they had set up outhouses outside, because the outhouses are in this fucking obscure location, and for some reason they didn't put up signs mentioning them until about 2 weeks in. So, I went through so many delivery breaks without a bathroom break, And of course, being the smart man that I am, I drank an energy drink before each block because I was tired. I needed caffeine. It's not a good combination.
I get moving the outhouses so that you're not smelling shit on site, but yeah, that's rough.
It was annoying. It was annoying as hell. And the delivery blocks that I was assigned don't really allow time for breaks. Or at least sometimes they do if I'm lucky, but I'll run over and risk delivering a package a few minutes late. Oh, the humanity.
Oh, God, they pay Jeff Bezos for that Amazon Prime, man. They have to get their package immediately, otherwise...
Well, you see, it's not even the customer that gives you grief for that, it's the computer. It's like, if it detects you delivering a package after a certain amount of time has passed, then it counts it as late. And you know what's really fucking weird? Sometimes, just at random, in the middle of a block, certain packages will have random-ass deadlines, like 2:34 or 3:07 for some reason. And it's just like...
Bonus round.
But, like, all the other packages have, like, a regular-ass delivery deadline, like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. And they're all... And it's like, why this random ass delivery time on this particular package, and why is it at the end of a route in which all the other packages are 3 hours later?
I'm reminded of, do you guys remember when they have the robot playing Jeopardy?
Vaguely, what about it?
So when they had the robot playing Jeopardy, and it got to the final part where you bid money, it always bid some really, really weird number. Like, it wouldn't ever bid, like, $20,000 of its $30,000. It would always bid, like, $21,364 or something like that. And it's like, what weird-ass calculation are you doing to run to that specific number?
Probably one that accounts for income tax.
Taxes,
or maybe
it's a computer!
I was going to say, to answer the question somewhat seriously, I guess, maybe the AI, or the robot, can't consider stakes.
Well, so here's the thing, like, if they're programming the computer to win, right, they can program the computer to look at how much remaining money the opponents have left. So, okay, I've got 20,000, one opponent has 30,000, and the other opponent has 5,000. So, you can, using those variables, the computer should be able to calculate what amount of money it needs to bid in order to have the best chance of winning, regardless of what the opponents actually, how they do in the final Jeopardy round. The thing is, it's just, I don't know why the math ends up being that weird. Like,
because the robot at the end of the day can use all the logic, but it doesn't have a heart.
Ryan, this is the cheesiest strategy that I've ever seen.
It works.
Stand on the front of the platform and spam the attack button.
Listen, we all do shit like this.
Let's just avoid having to platform at all in this platforming game, sure. I mean, this is the series that gave us the cape power-up, so...
The cape power-up's a mistake.
Yeah, but that game was also 30 years ago.
Was Mario World? Oh god, it was, 91.
Mario World was launch title.
Oh yeah, Mario World was in that era when they were still, like, specifically doing Super Nintendo games to seem like beefed up versions of old NES classics. So...
I think in regards to Mario World, though, they didn't have a choice because that game was rushed.
Well, that was the entire design philosophy Nintendo was going for at that time, so...
I would argue it depends on the devs themselves, because I think a part of it was not so much preparing for... Like,
it was an internal policy at the time, because parents, in America specifically, were complaining that buying their kids a new console was a scam.
You got a source on that?
It's anecdotal, but I've heard so many people talk about, oh, why do you need a Super Nintendo? You have a normal Nintendo. You know, that was a very common thing people talk
Something's
about.
never
I
changed.
don't remember the exact source at the moment. This is something I heard, that I heard a while ago, but it scans with the with what I know the consumer and atmosphere was like at the time, because the NES had already like just barely saved the American industry from the video game crash, and that was with an extremely gimmicky thing that sucked, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, I also, just speaking from my experience, when I was trying to tell my mom, oh, I need a Game Boy Advance. Why do you need a Game Boy Advance? You have a Game Boy. And it's like, oh, well, you see, and basically what I had to tell her was, I can't play the new Pokemon game on the one I have. I need this new one to play Pokemon. And eventually she got that. But I'm sure she wasn't happy having to shell out another $200 for a Game Boy Advance, you know, like when...
You like soap operas, Mom. This is the next episode.
Yeah, but you also... Okay, but here's the thing. There's not a $200 price barrier to go from Season 5 to Season 6 of General Hospital.
Yeah, there is. It's called the cable subscription.
That's a different argument, though. The argument previously was, why do you need this when you already have that?
Yeah.
Well, no, because the reason why she's saying that is, like, I don't want to have to pay an extra $300 for...
Then
this.
it should be presented as such.
Yeah, it's like, this thing you have is good enough, was basically the idea. And then all the cool kids get to play with the Super Nintendos, get to play their Link to the Past and Mario World, and
Yeah.
the one kid with Stunt Rally FX, I guess.
Yeah, and you know, it was difficult to explain to parents what the difference between one console and another was. So they actually tried to advertise the SNES as something that you would have like next to your NES as an additional thing rather than a replacement.
Honestly, kind of similar to what Nintendo was trying to do with the Wii U.
Yeah.